James Imaging Systems, your local business technology partner. Call 262-781-7700 or visit jamesimaging.com.
Hey, this is Jen Latta. You're listening to 94.5 ESPN, WKTI, and WKTI HD Milwaukee.
A locally owned Good Karma brand station.
It's time for the best 60 minutes of your life. This is the Homer Hour, broadcasting live from the Gruber Law Office's One Call That's All studio at the Avenue in downtown Milwaukee, alongside former Packer Bryan Bulaga. Here's Emmy Award winner Homer.
The best 60 minutes of your day right now on the Homer Hour. No Homer tonight. The Emmy Award winner out the next 2 days. I'm Alex Stroh filling in for him. But we do get the future Packers Hall of Famer, the former Packers first-round pick and right tackle, our guy Blue. Bryan Bulaga with me on your Monday night. Blue, hope you had a great weekend, my friend. How are you?
I'm good, man. How you doing? You have a good weekend?
It was a great weekend, man. All over the state, all over the place. We had the Wisconsin Broadcasters Association Gala in Madison Saturday, so I was back in Madison, back to Milwaukee yesterday for Cinco de Mayo.
Nice.
I'm living, dude. No complaints here. My only complaint, though, Bryan, is I was scrolling social media over the weekend, and as you probably also feel, sometimes it just makes me feel a lot dumber than I actually am. And by no means am I a genius. I'm a dumb person. But I saw some dumb idiots at Wrigley Field wearing Caleb Williams USC jerseys and chanting, "Green Bay sucks. Green Bay sucks." It's the first weekend of May. It's beautiful outside, and these stupid Cubs and Bears fans are wasting their energy on us. I didn't love it, to be real honest with you.
I mean, listen, this is the same way the Bears fans were acting 3 years ago, right? Like when they drafted Fields and they gave away the farm to go get Fields, and they were excited at that point in time too. And, you know, obviously there's always optimism when you get a high-ranked quarterback, so to speak, and I understand their excitement and all that, but they're jumping the gun, and Bears fans always do. They're jumping the gun. They have no idea what this kid can do on against NFL defenses and all, everything. I mean, it's so premature, but you know what? I guess we are in May, and you need something to be excited about, and that's where Bears fans are. And none of us will get to see how that team is or how he is until obviously week 1 and 2, and you got to give him the same grace period that you gave Jordan Love, right? Like you can't judge him based off, I wouldn't even say a season, but you can get an idea of who he's going to be within this first season for sure, right? We were all pretty, as Packer fans and people who follow the team, we were cautiously optimistic about Jordan Love, and I think everyone agreed that, hey, we can't judge him based off 6-8 games. That's hard on him, and this team is young and they're adjusting. And obviously Jordan Love performed the way he did, and everyone was obviously very happy with that. The only difference with Caleb Williams is he's not going to a young team. This is a veteran. This is a veteran team, especially on the offensive side of the football, right? They got, obviously the first round receiver is a rookie, right? I get that. But the rest of that offense is very experienced, so to speak. You look at his weapons, tons of games that those guys have played. So we're going to get a little clue to who he is as a player early on, because listen, if you can't find it and put it together with the weapons that they've given him, I'm not sure who you're going to put it together with, honestly.
No, I think you're totally right. And to your point, it won't be pretty, right? And it wasn't for Jordan Love in his first year as a starter. That month of October for Jordan was really rough. But once it got down to the nitty-gritty towards the end of the season, late November, December, and into the postseason, that's when you saw the flashes of, oh, okay, this guy is a franchise quarterback, bar none, right? He is absolutely a franchise quarterback. For Caleb Williams, though, you do bring up an important point that I think some of us as Packers fans, and for young Packers fans like myself who have been spoiled in this rivalry, is this was a 7-win team a year ago. This isn't your regular schmegular number 1 overall pick type team. This is a team that won 7 games, and then they add an all-pro caliber receiver like Keenan Allen. They add a second tight end, also from the Chargers, ironically, in Gerald Everett. So my question for you, Bryan, and we could throw this on the Discount Liquor poll on Twitter, is do you think this rivalry will be back in 2024 to more competitive levels? And Chris Larson running the show, Pebble, if you want to clean that up and make it sound smarter than I just did. But, Bryan, you were 17-4 in your career against the Bears. This hasn't been much of a rivalry over the course of the last several decades, but it feels like we might be reaching a point where we might be getting back to competitive levels between Chicago and Green Bay.
I mean, we could be, right? We certainly could be. And listen, I think I would like to see it again. I want to see the NFC North as competitive as possible, right? Because when you have a competitive division, the teams that come out of that division are battle tested for playoffs, right? Like that's just normally how those things play out. Like I always looked at it, especially out west when San Francisco was good and Seattle was good. You knew the team that was coming out of there that you would see in the playoffs was going to be good, right? They were just going to be good and then the Rams got a little bit better and that division was hot and now it's cooled. And now it's kind of seeming like the North is going to be that division with Green Bay, Detroit, Chicago added what they added, right? I mean, everyone's excited about that. You don't know about Minnesota. They're kind of the outlier right now. Young quarterback, kind of a iffy roster, so to speak. You don't know how they're going to perform. They could surprise you. They could, play the way I think some people expect them to play, and that's not very good, but you never know. But I'm hoping Chicago gets somewhat better with how much they've invested, especially offensively in that team. But I don't think we're close to seeing Chicago really press Green Bay for at least another year, maybe 2. And again, listen, Caleb Williams can shock everybody and play outstanding football and just, dominate. He could do it. I'm not saying he can't. I don't watch college football the way I probably should, especially the Pac-12 or what was the Pac-12. Like I just didn't watch it. It was on too late. I wasn't going to stay up to watch it. So I don't know much about him. I mean, obviously he's a good player. He won a Heisman, his first overall pick, obviously a good player, but there's something that happens to quarterbacks when they go to Chicago. There's something that happens to them. And not in a good way. We'll put it that way. Something good doesn't happen to them when they go there. So it'll be interesting to see. But I think Green Bay, where we're at right now, I think we're a little further ahead in our development as a young team. Even though they got good veteran players over there, I still think what we got going on in Green Bay is better. And they're further along in their development as a team. I get they're young, but they grew a lot last year. And this team, the Chicago team, they got a long way to go, man. They got a long way to go. And this isn't a 3-game fix. And here's Chicago, they're back, right? Like that's not going to work that way. And unfortunately for a lot of Bears fans, especially the ones I know, they expect instant gratification. They want to see it like right now. Like we drafted him first overall. If we don't start winning right now, this kid stinks. He's this, he's that. And they turn on him. And that's what they do in Chicago, right?
doubt.
They don't give any of their quarterbacks time to really become what they should be or could be. I'm not saying that they should have stuck with everyone forever, but they turn on their quarterbacks quick. And we'll see if that's the case for them this time around.
No, that's a great point. The Homer Hour with you here on ESPN Milwaukee. He's Bryan Bulaga. Alex Strofe in for Homer tonight. And, I was talking to Greg Matzik, our friend, the sports director down the hall at 620 WTMJ last week. And to your point, Bryan, he said there's 3 teams where quarterbacks are always ruined. It's Chicago, Cleveland, and the New York Jets. And until you see it, that's when you will believe it. On the other side of that coin, though, Green Bay is the place that develops the heck out of them. And Jordan Love certainly proved that towards the end of last season. We're expecting within the next couple of weeks, I would guess, if not sooner, a big contract extension for Love that probably starts in the per year category with the number 5. But the thing with him is, and I'm no doubter, I'm no non-believer, right? I have my Jordan Love jersey. I'm all in on Jordan. But we saw it for 10 games, Bryan. I just really hope to see in 2024 him able to string along an entire season worth of franchise quarterback play, right? And I mentioned earlier that lowly October he had a year ago. I just want to see more consistency. I don't need to see the top level that we saw towards the end of the year all year, but I need to see consistency from Jordan Love, and then I will be very happy with that $50 million plus per year payday.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I think, and I know people are so like, everyone's moved on from Aaron and all that. Like, and I understand that, but he's the most recent sample size we can get of what franchise quarterback and all pro and Hall of Fame quarterback play looks like in Green Bay. Right. And people were so accustomed to seeing that. And that's just what they automatically expect when you talk franchise quarterback in Green Bay. Right. Like, that no matter what, he's thrown for 30 touchdowns a year, essentially like under 7 picks a season, QBR out the roof. And I'm not saying that Jordan Love can't do that. I'm definitely not saying that. But I think we still have to, even if he gets the $50 million a year deal, right? Even if he gets that, we still got to have a little bit of patience with it, right? I mean, because the way he played at the end was so good that's so hard to replicate, and unless you are that guy and that's who you are and that's what you're going to show all the time, which again, he could be. I hope he is. And that's what we were so used to seeing from Aaron Rodgers, like every season, every week, that's what you got. But I think what you saw in that October that was brutal was a team that was also struggling around with them, right? Like the receiving group, the offensive line was bad. I mean, there was a lot going into that besides just Jordan Love. And then, like, you saw them all start to, like, look at, like, they must have looked at each other in the locker room and went, like, this is terrible. Like, what are we all doing? Like, this can't be the way we're supposed to be doing this. We know we can do better. And the offensive line picked it up. And then once they picked it up, it gave the receivers time to get open and do what they were supposed to do. They developed throughout the season. They picked it up, and then once all those two keys kind of, aligned, then Jordan Love started playing the ball that he did. And I call me an offensive lineman, kind of a not apologist, but I'm an offensive line guy. There's a direct line between how an offensive line plays and his quarterback, right? Like it's a direct line that is as clear as day. If the offensive line is performing badly, the quarterback will not be able to perform at all. And it's just what it is. And that's what we saw early in the season was an offensive line that was struggling. They weren't pass protecting. They sure as heck weren't running the football. So you put those two things together and defenses just teed off on Jordan Love. Not saying that he was sacked a bunch, but he was pressured a bunch. He had guys in his lap. He didn't have time to go through his reads. And that's gonna impact not just a veteran quarterback, but especially a young quarterback like Jordan Love. So once that tide turned and the O-line started doing what they needed to do and started to play really well towards the end, you saw everything else fall in the line. They started to run the ball better as well. Like everything just picked up, and that helped Jordan Love. So I feel that if that offensive line up front kind of picks up where they left off and they start humming at a high level early on, we're going to see the same thing from Jordan Love. And that run game with the new running back, I mean, this could be, if we can get those two things going, the run game and the offensive line, doing their fair share, I don't see any reason why Jordan Love can't continue to play the same ball that he did last year. I'm not saying that Jordan Love can't do it without perfect protection, but those things directly correlate with each other.
No, you're spot on that. And now I understand. I always understood, but now I really understand why Homer calls you the doctor of football. He's Bryan Bulaga. I'm Alex Strofe in for Homer tonight. Tune into Behind the Bucks on the Bucks Plus Audio Network, presented by Gallagher, your trusted insurance broker and HR and benefits consultant. Behind the Bucks dives deep into Bucks in 6, a culture unknowingly created by former Bucks star Brandon Jennings. Take a look inside the Brandon Jennings story, the origin of Bucks in 6, how it became the rallying cry, and what it truly means to Jennings and Bucks fans alike. Find Behind the Bucks on bucks.com/plus, Plus, the Bucks app, and wherever you get your podcasts. Behind the Bucks is presented by Gallagher. These next 15 minutes are the best 15 minutes on the radio every week. This is where I kick my feet up, I sit back and relax. Bryan Bulaga, Jason Wilde, the 3-time Wisconsin Sports Writer of the Year from Wilde and Tausch, weekdays 9 to noon on ESPN Wisconsin. Jason Wilde joins us next on the Homer Hour. Next.
More of the Homer Hour coming up next on 94.5 ESPN.
We do have backups along southbound 41, south of Appleton Avenue, heading down towards Capitol Drive. So give yourself that extra time. We also have delays on 94 westbound coming out of the Marquette interchange all the way to Hawley Road. Eastbound's tightening up right through the stadium interchange itself from about Hawley. And the northbound 43 backing up from Fond du Lac up to Keefe. Southbound slow from about Keefe all the way down through the Marquette and over the high-rise bridge. Traffic is brought to you by James Imaging Systems, your local document imaging partner. Visit jamesimaging.com. And checking the TMJ4 Storm Team forecast tonight, partly cloudy skies, a low of 51. Then tomorrow, mostly cloudy with showers and storms, a high of 68 at the lakefront, 73 inland. From the WTMJ Traffic Center, I'm Debbie Lazaga on 94.5 ESPN.
Even when you think you know what's going on, you can never be too sure.
Well, do we take care of that cough?
I'm okay.
You should tune
See
in.
that button that says cough on it?
Nah, I didn't have to strike.
Packers, nonsense, chaos.
Who has volume playing in there?
No one.
So we coughed in the mic and then played audio off our phone into the mic. Good job, guys.
Jen, Gabe, and Chewy, mornings 7 to 9 on 94.5 ESPN and available wherever you get your podcasts with Wisconsin On Demand.
The only thing that tops our selection is your savings discount liquor.
Take me out to the ball game, roll out the barrel, and get up, get out of here, gone. There's nothing like Milwaukee baseball. The Brew Crew is back, and we're here to help you turn your tailgate or game viewing experience into a grand slam. Hi, this is Marie from Discount Liquor, where since 1960 we have provided the best selection and the lowest prices. We stock literally thousands of varieties of beer, liquor, wine, and mixers. Over 15,000 actually, but who's counting? The point is, you want it, odds are we have it. Combine our incredible selection and everyday low prices with our 2 convenient locations, and you've got your one-stop shop for game day. Discount Liquor in Milwaukee on 51st in Oklahoma, only 10 minutes from AmFam Field, and in downtown Waukesha on Barstow and Maine.
Discount liquor.
They say seeing is believing, and when you see what's inside at American Place Casino, you better believe you're gonna love it. Because when it comes to amazing gaming, we're a real game changer. With the most exciting of table games like blackjack, craps, and roulette, the newest slots, a sports book, restaurants, bars, and more. So if you're ready for excitement, we'll see you soon. American Place Casino. Change the game.
Must be 21 years of age or older. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, crisis counseling and referral services can be accessed by calling 1-800-GAMBLER, 1-800-426-2537.
All Brewers games are on sale now. Coming up, a divisional battle with the Cardinals Thursday, May 9th through Sunday, the 12th. Make your Saturday night plans for Star Wars night. Then take home a Mother's Day Brewers belt bag giveaway at the game on Sunday, the 12th. Presented by American Family Insurance. Don't miss out on a weekend of Rivalry baseball. Grab your seats at brewers.com/tickets.
Discover the difference at findhigherlove.com/CBD. Higher Love Cannabis Company is the only cultivator in the UP offering organic, clean, green certified products. That means quality you can trust every time. With 7 locations across the UP, including Menominee, Norway, and Ironwood, finding your higher love is easier than ever before. And for our friends in Green Bay, Higher Love is less than an hour away. Kindness starts with you. Experience Higher Love today. Visit findhigherlove.com/CBD and follow them on social media at findhigherlove.
This is the Homer Hour on 94.5 ESPN. Jason Wilde is brought to you by Boucher Automotive, where we ride with you every mile. 18 dealerships, 15 brands, and thousands of vehicles in stock. Check them out at Boucher.com.
The Homer Hour on your radio with you until 6 o'clock tonight. No Homer the next 2 days. I'm Alex Strofe in for him, joined alongside the future Packers Hall of Famer, the former first-round pick, Bryan Bulaga, and joining us now is the 3-time Wisconsin Sports Writer of the Year, who you also hear each and every weekday morning alongside a Packers Hall of Famer, Mark Tausch on Wilde and Tausch. Jason Wilde joins us now, fresh off talking to Packers offensive coordinator Adam Stenavich and defensive coordinator Jeff Hafley earlier today at Lambeau Field. Happy Monday, Jason. What'd you take away from those conversations earlier today?
I'm really intrigued by what this defense is going to look like because I don't want to call it a sales pitch, but the conversation of their play style and this idea, again, it's not as if any new defensive coordinator comes in and says, we're going to be very passive. We're going to want our guys up front to not get after the quarterback. That's not what people want to hear, obviously. But coming from a system in which Joe Barry's belief was keep everything in front of you and play kind of an umbrella in terms of coverage and have your defensive linemen handle two gaps and have to read and react. That is definitely not what this is going to be. And so they're going through the process, and the process has a long way to go, as Jeff Hafley admitted, but he's happy with the progress thus far.
So, Jason, did you get to watch any of the rookie minicamp at all? Did they let you watch any of it or no?
Yes. No, they did. As you well know, as a soccer fan and as a soccer dad, at times that schedule conflicts with some of the other activities. So I was at all of Friday's practice. Saturday I was watching the Wisconsin Loons 2011 Select North team battle against some other team. But yeah, I got to see all of Friday, and look, you probably remember seeing some rookies come in that jumped off the page at you right away as a veteran player once you guys start practicing together. And then you also probably saw some rookies where you're like, this guy's not going to make it. And I didn't see anybody that, again, this was just with rookies. And I'm trying to remember, did McCarthy have the rookie orientation camp when you were a rookie in 2010?
Oh, yeah. Sure did.
Well, because when Tausch was a rookie a decade earlier, they just got thrown into the deep end of the pool with the veterans right away. And so I always thought that Mike, because Mike was kind of one of the, I would say, innovators of that, because it was half like mini camp and half like, a student orientation in Iowa City before your freshman year, or SOAR as we have at the University of Wisconsin. But I just think there's such a great benefit to that. And now, obviously, all teams do it. But I just thought that was always so smart. And so these guys, for what we saw, or what I saw at Friday's practice, Hopper and Cooper, they're long and they're fast. They're not real stout, but they're more lithe. So they moved the way I expected to. Bullard and Evan Williams, those are the two safeties that they drafted that were able to participate. Katan Oladapo had surgery on his toe before the draft after pushing through his pro day after he broke his toe at the combine. So he didn't take part. But, those guys, for the small sliver of the playbook they were running, I thought they looked pretty decisive. I thought, Lloyd, the running back from USC, did some really good things. And then in talking to my guys on Saturday, since I didn't go to practice, they said he looked even better on Saturday. So, again, if we keep in perspective how impressed we may or may not be, or disappointed we may or may not be, I think by and large, the guys more than looked the part, and there were plenty of encouraging things to be seen from those 2 days.
Okay. What did, from looking at the defense, did anything jump out to you structurally wise, how they were playing? Was there anything that you could tell with this new Hafley defense that stood out, or did it just look like pretty plain Jane nickel defense and base 4-3 defense, and there wasn't much to pick up on, so to speak?
Yeah, I would say it was definitely, they played more nickel than base, obviously, and they played at one point they were playing three safeties. Keyshawn Nixon obviously isn't there, so he wouldn't be the slot guy. But we got to see their 7th round pick, who, again, I don't know if he'll be able to parlay his disappointment into a fantastic NFL career. But I think Kalen King is going to have an opportunity, just like Carrington Valentine had last year. Now, we have gotten reports, we haven't seen them yet, but that Jair is fully engaged and really into it, and that Eric Stokes, who did not get the fifth-year option, not surprisingly, looks really good. So I'm eager to see them at an OTA practice coming soon. But, I really, if I'm being honest, I really want to see the defense being run by the guys that are not experienced in the defense because it's new, but are experienced NFL players, right? There's a difference between, say, Brian Bulaga going out there and running the play and Travis Glover, the 7th-round pick. They both play right tackle, but one guy played in the league for a decade and the other guy's at his first practice. So I don't have a great feel for what the defense is going to look like, but it was a lot of nickel. It was a lot of those two linebackers flowing and going sideline to sideline, which I thought was pretty interesting. But again, until we see something more, it's a little bit too conjecture-y.
Yes, I'm with you.
Jason Wilde with us here on the Homer Hour. Alex Strofe, Bryan Bulaga with you until 6 o'clock tonight. Jason, I remember last offseason when we were trying to figure out exactly what Jordan Love was as we led into OTAs and training camp. You used the wow meter. That was your meter essentially to gauge how good he was doing. I'm curious, just from the rookie minicamp, was there any moment of any sort that made you go, wow, and it kind of caught you off guard?
Things that make you go, wow. Yeah, but and look, it actually turned out to be a germane moment because even LaFleur, unprompted, referenced it, and then the kid ended up getting signed as a tryout player, and that's Dimitri Stanley, who is the son of late 1980s Packers wide receiver and return man Walter Stanley. He had a fantastic one-handed catch where he reached back and it was in traffic. It was a really nice catch, and he was consistent throughout the practice. And remember, not only did they not draft any wide receivers, but I don't think they even signed any initially in their undrafted free agent class. And now they've signed 2 of them off of tryouts. They had one tight end that they brought in as a undrafted free agent. I still love his name. His name is Messiah, which he will be the first Messiah I have covered since I was not on the beat in 33 AD. So it'll be really interesting to see if they have some guys that elevate their games and get into the competition at either of those positions, because that's where they seem to be pretty stacked. At the same time, I don't here's the problem, defensively, I don't know. If I said that they had guys that wowed me defensively, I'd be kind of guessing because again they're in shorts. So it's hard to wow me to begin with, as you well know, Strofe. I'm pretty tough on you and how many wow moments you have. But overall, I would say that there were some pretty good moments.
What did?
Hey, have a good practice, kid. Sorry.
Oh, you're fine. I get it. What did Steno have to say about the new left tackle? Obviously, you were just in there with Steno. What did he have to say?
Yeah, so Bryan, in no way did they try you at another position, right? They just you got into rookie camp, you got into OTAs. Did they try you at guard at all?
No, not till camp. Not till camp.
So then they tried you at camp when they were moving all kinds of guys around, right? And then they said, this guy, short arms and all, he ain't no guard either, right?
He stinks there. Yeah, he stinks there. Yeah. Can't play.
Okay, good. So it was interesting because, for me, the most important thing was, obviously I wanted to see practice. That's important. But the most important thing to me was talking to these guys, because this was our first time of meeting them in person. And I got to be honest, what was really interesting about talking to Jordan Morgan is that he was, dare I say, adamant that he wants to be a left tackle. And, he said all the right things about, hey, wherever they want to play me is where I'll play. But he basically came out and said, look, I want to be the guy that protects Jordan Love's blind side. And he told a great anecdote and I couldn't believe this because as good as Jordan Love was, it's not like he's at Favre or Rodgers level just yet. But he told a story about coming into the facility and Jordan Love being there and dapping him up. And he was like nervous and freaked out. He's like, oh my God, that's Jordan Love. And so he's going to obviously have to get over that. But I thought it was really interesting that he was so like, look, I really want to be the left tackle. I want to be the guy that he counts on to keep his blind side clean. I think it's great that they move guys around. I think it's great that they look for versatility. But, like today when we were talking to Steno, like he was very clear that he believes Elton's best position is guard. And then he paused briefly and said, or center. Then when we talked about Zach Tom, he kind of said, he said, he could play anywhere, but, he was really effective and really good on the edge. So it was almost like he was dropping some breadcrumbs of, look, we're not really going to move these guys. And so, Sean Ryan, even though they rotated him with Runyon last year, he still has to earn that right guard job. Obviously, Rasheed Walker has to earn the left tackle job and stave off a first-round pick. But as I said to Steno, I said, it's just an interesting place that you guys are in. And, Brian, you and I have talked about this before. Like, they lost 3 guys that played a hell of a lot of football. I said that to Steno. You drafted 3 guys, including 2 that might be ready to play right away, right, in both Monk and Morgan. And yet, if we had a game tomorrow, I feel like you guys would be pretty comfortable with the 5 that you'd trot out there as starters. And he agreed. And so, I think it'll be a really interesting training camp because I don't think that Sean Ryan to Morgan or not, or to Monk, or Josh Myers, who's in a contract year, facing a draft pick who plays center and might be at his best position at center and Monk, or Rasheed Walker with Morgan. And none of those incumbents are going to say, well, they drafted these guys. They want them to play, so I'm going to roll over and play dead. Like, for all the talk about competition, I think that's going to be a hell of a competitive room, and that obviously puts them in a position where they don't have to play the rookies right away, just like they had this stud who fell to them at 23 in the 2010 draft, and they had this old, almost washed up, but still a tough warhorse at right tackle who, if he doesn't get hurt, probably staves off the young buck for a while longer. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out.
Oh, man. 2.5 short months until training camp kicks up, and I cannot wait. Jason Wilde, great stuff as always, my friend. Appreciate the time.
It was great to have the host contribute to that segment beyond just Brian and I talking. It was a little bit weird. I'm not used to it, except for like being interrupted halfway through an answer. So that was really fun. You guys, I'll be listening to the rest of the show. I appreciate you guys. Take care. Be good.
The great Jason Wilde, hear him tomorrow morning beginning at 9 a.m. with the, what did he call him, Blue? The old buck, Mark Tauscher?
The old warhorse.
Warhorse, that's what it was.
The old warhorse.
Warhorse. You were the young buck, that's what it was. Brian Bulaga, Alex Stroop with you here on the Homer Hour. A lot of talk about defense, a lot of talk about competition. I want to ask Brian Bulaga where he views the biggest competition heading into training camp, which is still 2.5 months away. For the Packers is also want to hear from head coach Matt LaFleur. Coming up on the other side, it's the Homer Hour with you on ESPN Milwaukee.
The Homer Hour is back after this on 94.5 ESPN.
Southbound on 41, backing up now from just south of Appleton Avenue all the way down past Capitol Drive, so give yourself some extra time there. We've also got southbound 43 slowing down from Fond du Lac down through the Marquette and over the high-rise bridge. Doesn't really let up till you get to the KK River. Northbound side backing up from just before Fond du Lac up to Keefe. Westbound 94, watch for the delays out of the Marquette, and those stretch all the way to Mitchell Boulevard. And checking the TMJ4 Storm King forecast tonight, partly cloudy skies, low of 51. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy, showers and storms likely, high of 68 at the lakefront, 73 inland. From the WTMJ Traffic Center, I'm Debbie Lazaga on 94.5 ESPN.
Eagle Sports Range has an unbeatable offer on concealed carry license classes. For just $49, enroll in their 3-hour class led by expert instructors prioritizing safety. Learn laws, techniques, and mindset for responsible carrying. Stick around for an optional hour of range time with instructors included in the package. Practice under professional guidance and gain confidence. Open 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. every day at 2525 East Layton Avenue in Cudahy. Secure your spot at eaglesportsrange.com. Eagle Sports Range, where safety meets skill.
Hi, it's John Reitz from Great Midwest Bank, and as a community bank, we sincerely appreciate our customer loyalty. Over nearly 90 years, we've done all we can to return the favor. Great Midwest Bank offers flexible solutions that bigger banks and credit unions simply can't, because our entire team is right here in the community. We love helping our neighbors when we're at work and then catching up over the weekend. Visit us at greatmidwestbank.com. Great Midwest Bank, your simply local equal housing lender.
ESPN Wisconsin's Mark Tauscher here, and there is one thing I think everyone can agree on. Potholes stink. And this year's weather will make it one of the worst years yet. Well, Johnson & Sons Paving is ready to take on the challenge with a team that has over 2 decades of experience. When the potholes pop up in your asphalt, Johnson & Sons Paving can patch or replace the whole area. Book an appointment now at johnsonsonspaving.com. Get that appointment booked before May 31st, and you might even see Old T on the job site for a visit. Find full contest details at ESPNWisconsinContest.com.
Looking for a totally rad flavor adventure, brochachos? Look no further than Surfer Boy Pizza as seen in Stranger Things. Each mouth-watering variety contains rich tomato sauce, delicious mozzarella cheese, and a gnarly range of toppings. The crust is crispy on the outside and airy on the inside. You'll think it was hand-tossed by the Surfer Boy Pizza dudes themselves. Look for it in the freezer aisle at your local store and buckle up your taste buds with Surfer Boy Pizza.
This is ESPN Wisconsin's Brad Nortman, here to tell you about my favorite go-to drink. That's Carbless. Carbless is a ready-to-drink, handcrafted vodka and tequila cocktail. Even better, it's 0 carbs, 0 sugar, 0 gluten, and just 100 calories. And listen to this, less carbonation. This leads to less bloat. I can indulge in something delicious without having that health guilt. Carbless is crafted right here in Wisconsin. It has a flavor for everyone, from black raspberry to cranberry, pineapple and lemon, and my favorite, margarita. Find Carbless online and at a retailer near you. Less is more.
Your bathroom is boring and basic too. It seems like there's nothing you can do. A better bath awaits. You'll feel brand new, relaxing in a world of peace at the Bath Authority.
Hey, it's Kyle Wallace. Right now, get $1,500 off a new shower or bath plus 36 months of interest-free financing. Restrictions do apply. TheBathAuthority.com.
You're our priority at the Bath Authority.
You're listening to the Homer Hour on 94.5 ESPN.
Wade versus Diener, a 2-day event that will feature activities where Dwayne Wade and Travis Diener will compete with your help to raise the most money for local youth literacy programs. Mark your calendars for June 15th for a tee-off party hosted by Wade and Diener at Pilot Project. Through your support, we are helping to break down barriers and create a brighter future for Milwaukee's youth. Don't miss this opportunity to join these NBA stars as they give back to the Milwaukee community through their shared love of basketball and fundraising for youth literacy. Register at WadeDienerGala.GiveSmart.com. That's WadeDienerGala.GiveSmart.com. It's the Homer Hour with you on a Monday night. Alex drove in for the Emmy Award winner Homer, alongside the future Packers Hall of Famer, the former first-round pick, longtime right tackle in Green Bay, Bryan Bulaga, with me as always. I teased it before the break, Blue. I think, hearing Jason say the Packers would feel good about trotting out the 5 from last year at offensive line, despite picking Jordan Morgan in the first round, caught my ear. And I'm curious from your perspective. I think there's a couple different answers that are applicable here. But which competition do you have your eyes on most as we lead up to OTAs later this month and into June, and then ultimately training camp in July? Which room are you most interested in from a competition standpoint?
Yeah, I think you hit there's 3 that stick out.
Yeah.
Obviously, you hit the first one in the offensive line room. I feel fairly certain who we're going to see out of the 4 out of the 5, right? Elton, Myers, Sean Ryan and Zach Tom. That's who we're going to see from left to right. Then the left tackle is the position that, is up for grabs, I would imagine, or I would think. That competition between Walker and Morgan is going to be what kind of settles that group. Now, Morgan seems very confident himself that he is the left tackle. He's the guy. He's this, which, hey, I'm glad that he is confident. He should be confident. He was selected in the first round for a reason. But those positions aren't handed out. And guys that like Walker, who won the job late in the year, he's got something to prove as well, and he believes that that's his job. So that's going to be a good competition, and regardless of who wins it, we're going to gain quality depth from who doesn't start, which I get. That's not a consolation prize to the guy that doesn't win the job, right? I understand that. But you look at it from just a kind of a safety blanket standpoint that we don't have a ton of depth. Obviously, the Packers added some linemen and Monk, but we don't really have another swing tackle. So if something happens to one of the tackles, obviously having a guy that can play left and right, that can go and do both is going to be good. My next one would be linebacker, right? Drafted a few linebackers early. We all know that one of those spots is probably open. McDuffie's a guy that's already been there. He's familiar with the defense with Hafley in college. He probably believes that, that should be his gig and he's going to be fighting for it. But we drafted two young guys that kind of are in the mold of what Hafley's looking for from a linebacker standpoint. Jason said it. They're not very, I would say old school bulky linebackers. They're lean, they run, and that's kind of how this defense is built from a linebacker standpoint. So I think that's going to be interesting to see which guy wins the job that's out there on third down and nickel, right? I mean, if he's out there on third down, that means he's out there on second down, and he's most likely out there on first down. And though, who's going to be that second guy? And then obviously, you buy McKinney in free agency, so you got your one safety. Who's going to be the next one, right? Who is going to be the other safety that partners with them? And my question would be not only who's going to partner with them, but who's going to be the deep safety? Who's going to be the guy that comes down into the box and supports the run and kind of becomes that third linebacker and nickel? And who's going to win that job? Because that's a big part of this defense. It's one of the most important parts of the defense is that safety position. Obviously, that's why they spent the money they did on McKinney to solidify one of those. Now, who's his running mate? And then I think that's going to be the thing that I'm looking for. I think the corner situation will work itself out. We didn't really add anybody in the draft, so who we got is who we got, and we're going to roll with it. Obviously, there's not, a ton of positions up for grab there, right? I mean, Stokes and Jair, and then Nixon's going to play the nickel, and then who's gonna kind of find their way into play time there. That's going to be the interesting thing to see. But the safeties, the linebackers, and then left tackle is what I'm looking for.
Yeah, and if you missed any of our conversation with Jason Wilde about 10 minutes ago, he was money on all of those position groups that Bryan just mentioned from the rookie camp over the weekend. I think corner is a really interesting one, Bryan, because, Jason did mention Callan King out of Penn State, the 7th-round pick, and he said maybe he could have a Carrington Valentine-esque, ascend to maybe not the starting lineup, but crack the rotation throughout the course of this year. While I feel really both excited and good about the new defense brought in by Jeff Hafley, there are so many unknowns. But the depth of both those position groups, safety and cornerback, have dramatically been upgraded over the course of the last few weeks. Now we just need to see it on the field, right? It looks good on paper, the depth does, but you need to see it on the field and see who's really stepping up at that next level. So the opportunity for these young guys is huge as we head into OTAs later this month and into June.
Yeah, I mean, listen, that's the way Goody has built this roster, right? He has built it that it is young, it's competitive. Nobody's really on second deals besides Jair and McKinney back there, and Nixon, obviously. But, I mean, spots are open, and the best guy's going to win it, and that's a good thing, especially with a new D coordinator coming in. It's who gets gets this scheme the fastest and who can execute it the fastest in camp and show that they're the guy for the job. And when you got young guys battling for it and none of them are on second deals, and it's kind of like a foregone conclusion that he's going to get this gig or he's going to get this gig, it makes it very exciting to see who kind of emerges from the pack and takes a stronghold on that job. So I'm excited for it. Yeah, there's a ton of depth, but at the same time, we need to see someone that can play, right? Like depth is good, but there's got to be someone that can play and play well and be the starter. Because there's a difference between a depth player and a starter in the NFL. So it's great to have depth, but someone's got to come out of that as a player, right? And that's going to be the interesting thing to see.
Before we get to our final break, Bryan, I do want to ask you a question because this will dictate what we do in the next segment. Are you more sick of talking about being a first-round pick with short arms at the tackle position or Bryan Bulaga Awa? Which one do you think you talk about more and are more sick of talking about?
Listen, I think I'd rather, it doesn't matter, but I think we stick with the short arms thing because obviously that's relevant in what Green Bay's got going on right now with their first round pick. And I don't know. I'm saying this is as a joke, but his arms are shorter than mine, so I don't know how this guy's going to cope. You know what I mean? So I don't know how this guy's going to play. I can't even put myself in his boat.
Well, I have good news. I was going to do that either way. I just wanted to see what your answer to that question would be. Jordan Morgan, the Packers' first-round pick, did talk about having short arms. We'll hear from the first-round pick, get Bryan Bulaga's answer and reaction to that on the other side as we wrap up the Homer Hour on ESPN Milwaukee next.
More of the Homer Hour coming up next on 94.5 ESPN.
If you haven't looked at the calendar, you better, because Mother's Day is coming soon, and we are ready to help with the Welke's Mother's Day giveaway. From now through May 11th, register at welkesmothersday.com. The winner gets a one-night stay at the St. Kate The Arch Hotel, a gift card to one of the St. Kate restaurants, and of course, a big bouquet of flowers straight from Welke's Milwaukee Floors. That's welkesmothersday.com. But if you don't win, don't sweat it. Mention ESPN at checkout to get 10% off Welke's Milwaukee Floors on its order. It's the Welke's Mother's Day giveaway on ESPN Milwaukee.
It started with a prediction.
Go out there and play basketball and win. And how many games? 6.
It became the culture.
Chance of Bucks in 6.
Being a Bucks fan means you live and breathe Bucks in 6. Brandon Jennings created the prophecy. Tune into Behind the Bucks, the story of Brandon Jennings on the Bucks Plus audio network. Behind the Bucks is presented by Gallagher, your trusted insurance broker and HR and benefits consultant. Available now on bucks.com/plus, the Bucks app, and streaming wherever you get your podcasts.
That's for the culture.
Jeff Levering and wife Ashley love their patio door from Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin.
It's so bright, it's so clear. I can see the kids outside playing, and it makes it comfortable for the life we live.
I love the roll screen. The fact that the screen is on the inside and no drafts, it's a game changer.
Right now, get 0% interest-free financing for up to 48 months when you order by May 31st. Set your free in-home consultation at PellaWI.com.
Certain restrictions apply. That's 5/31/2024.
You ever have one of those days when you just couldn't come up with the right answer? Well, I know one answer that pretty much solves all problems. Ice cream. Yeah, it's the answer to everything, right? And right now, at Quick Trip, our rich, creamy, straight from our dairy, Nature's Touch 1-gallon pails of ice cream are just $4.99. Yeah, now that's an answer worth digging into. Come on, be a problem solver. Bring home some fresh, delicious Nature's Touch ice cream, only from Quick Trip.
This is the absolute worst time of the year to be dealing with joint pain because you can't do all the outdoor stuff that you love to do. Hey, this is Brad Nortman, and if you're tired of achy joint pain, call QC Kinetics before you agree to surgery or steroids or any harmful medications. That's what tens of thousands of real-life patients around the country have done. Patients like Patrick. He loved to golf, but he couldn't even walk because of his knee pain. After his QC Kinetics regenerative treatment, he's back and his best handicap in 15 years. And Julie, a doctor told her the only way she could get relief is with knee replacement. She went to QC Kinetics for a second opinion, and now no surgery. She's riding her bike and feeling great. QC Kinetics is at the top of its game with National Medical Director Dr. Mitchell Scheinkup, a pioneer in this field with 20 years of clinical work, tons of research, and teaching. I'd love to be talking about your story next, so don't wait. Call QC Kinetics. The consultation is free. 414-285-3474. That's 414-285-3474. 414-285-3474.
Gabe, where do you think our group should be taking our golf trip next year?
Jason, I don't know. Do you have time to figure it all out and get all the reservations made? I certainly don't.
Not really. I mean, I'm so busy. If I only knew somebody to call that might do all the work for us.
Oh, I know about Wisconsin Golf Trips. Their main business is booking groups from around the world to play all the great courses in our state, but they're now doing outbound trips for groups each year to places like Michigan, Minnesota, and Nevada. Plus, Wisconsin Golf Trips is even booking custom packages for Scotland and Ireland.
Oh, wow. Let's hit them up.
WisconsinGolfTrips.com.
Hey, Drew Scott here, and I'm Jonathan Scott, reminding you that life's better with a home policy from American Family Insurance. They can help you get just the right protection at just the right price and help you save when you bundle home and auto. Kind of like Goldilocks and the Three Bears. It'll be just right for you. We love a custom build. American Family Insurance. Insure carefully, dream fearlessly. Get a quote and find an agent at amfam.com.
Products not available in every state. Visit amfam.com to learn how discounts may apply to you. American Family Mutual Insurance Company SI and its operating company, 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin.
Welcome back to the Homer Hour on 94.5 ESPN.
Wrapping up the Homer Hour with the doctor of football, Bryan Bulaga. I'm Alex Strofe in for Steve the Homer True. On your Monday night, Bryan, I wanted to fact check you. 33 inches and a quarter for you, arm length, for Jordan Morgan, the Packers' first-round pick. 32 inches and 7/8. So his arms are a little bit shorter than yours, and obviously that's something you've talked a lot about both in retirement and even really during your career when you were drafted by the Packers. It's something that keeps popping up for Jordan Morgan as well. He met with reporters over the weekend. Here's what Jordan Morgan, the Packers' first-round pick, had to say about his quote-unquote short arms. Uh-oh. Maybe not. Something he said was about how he still moves people off the edge, essentially.
I get that a lot, the short arm stuff. It's like, obviously, having watched film, I mean, I use them pretty well. I move people off the ball. I pass it really well. I protect the quarterback. I mean, you see the stats. And, I mean, it doesn't bother me. I'm just prove everybody wrong.
He's just going to prove everybody wrong, Bryan. I love that attitude from the Packers' first-round pick, Jordan Morgan. What do you make of it?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think it is a measurable that is overblown, and I think it's overblown every year. I really think it is something that the talking heads on ESPN and NFL Network use to either pump up a guy or maybe knock a guy down a little bit. I feel like it's a measurable that we can really move on from. Listen, there's pros and cons to each thing, but it really has no bearing on can you block a guy or not if you use proper techniques and fundamentals. It really doesn't. Like, can you get your hands on another guy and get on his chest plate and effectively punch a guy, or get your hands situated underneath the defensive end shoulder? Like, it has nothing to do with it. Now, listen, if you can't do it, and you're not able to do your job effectively, and that is an issue, then there's something to talk about. But most of the time, like, it's not an issue. Like, yes, I went against plenty of guys that had much longer arms than I did. Figured out a way to block them. Like, that's the way you got to look at it. You have to turn things that are, you can say, quote unquote, disadvantages for you and turn them into an advantage. And that's all based on how you play. So what he's going to have to do is figure out how to play and how to do it effectively to his strengths and kind of hide some of his weaknesses. And that's just not having short arms. Like, that's everything in your game. That's, I heard him say, like, I'm a great pass setter and this and that. Like, that's great that you were good at that in college. Things change at the NFL level, and you're going to have to adjust your game. Like, no one goes from college to the pros, and it just translates perfectly. There's things you got to do. There's things you got to change. The guys screaming off the edge are not the same guys that were coming off the edge when you were playing. I don't know who do they even play in that conference anymore? That isn't a conference. Like when you played. I'll even say USC.
There you go.
Like I don't even know any guys that came out of USC this year at the defensive end position. So it's just not the same. So you have to be able to take what you do well, make some small changes to it, accept coaching, and apply it to your game. So it's how quickly he can do that and figure that out will be how he succeeds in the NFL. But I can assure you, he will if it doesn't work out for him or whatever it may be. I'm not saying that it will. It won't be because of his short arms. That will not be the reason why he succeeds or fails in the NFL. I'll put it that way.
No, you're totally right. I'm always fascinated by the people that get fascinated by the measurements of dudes in their underwear at the NFL Combine, Brian. I remember a few years ago, right? Wasn't the big deal, and maybe it's true in this sense, but Kenny Pickett's hand size, I remember, was a really big deal when he was the first quarterback off the board a few years ago. I think a lot of these intangibles and some of these measurements, they do make sense, right? If you're a corner or a wide receiver who's running a 4.8, it's probably not going to translate well at the NFL level. But when it comes to arm size and hand size, I've never really understood the fascination about those measurements in particular.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. I really don't. I mean, I'm just going to say, I've never met an NFL offensive lineman that you shake his hand and he's got these baby hands or these really tiny arms. You know what I mean? You just never see it and go, man, that guy's got really short arms. I've never seen that in a locker room. I've never seen that on tape. It's something that you don't really notice, right? Guys play different ways and they're able to do different things, and it's all based on techniques and things. Again, I think it's just something for the talking heads to talk about, and that's really what it is. Because if it was that big of a red flag and that big of a problem, no NFL team would ever touch a player with arms that are under 33 inches at tackle. They would just never touch him. There'd be and I continue to say this, and I've said this a million times. A guy just got a gold jacket the last Hall of Fame induction, Joe Thomas, who had under 34-inch arms. So I don't want to hear about it. It makes no sense. So I hope he stops talking about it, Jordan Morgan. I hope he just drops it. There's nothing to talk about. It's a non-story. He's going to go out there and play his game and figure out the best way for him to play, and he'll do that. And as long as he's able to kind of get rid of that negative connotation that he just talked about in that clip, move on from that. Totally. The better he'll be.
I think you're 100% spot on. And for the record, I know we technically count as talking heads, Brian. I would never do a segment on arm size unless it was with you, because I know you've been through what Jordan Morgan is going through and went through this weekend. So I figured it was worth talking about to wrap up the Homer Hour. I know are you back later this week with Homer?
No, I'm on with Wilde and Tausch on Wednesday. There you go.
Wilde and Tausch Wednesday. Always good to hear the tackle talk with you and Tauschi. Brian, always appreciate catching up with you, man. Great stuff as always.
Yeah, man. I appreciate you.
I'm back with you tomorrow. Homer's back Wednesday. John Anderson will join me tomorrow from ESPN to talk all things Pack. We'll talk a little Bucks as well as the NBA playoffs continue to roll on. Those Timberwolves, man, keep your eye on them. They're a fun team to watch. Big thanks to Pebble, Chris Larson, for running the show. Back with you from 5 to 6 tomorrow. It's the Homer Hour right here on ESPN Milwaukee.
We do still have delays left over. 43 northbound coming up from Fond du Lac Avenue to Keefe, so heads up with that. Southbound 41 slowing from just south of Silver Spring down to about Capitol Drive. Westbound 94 backed up out of the Marquette all the way